A lot of people think Joe Mazzulla is a bit of a maniac, but is he actually a bit of a genius? Our takeaways from that big Joe Mazzulla interview last week right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Zeus, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown, clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and Jace, how it started, raising business, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is actually my last week of 3 days a week. Next week, it's back to every day, 5 days a week, and then more than that when they play on weekends, because I will be podcasting after every game. So make sure you're subscribed to this show. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell on YouTube so you get notified when there's new videos there. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. I'm John Karalis. I've been covering the Celtics team for about 20 years, and right now I'm doing it as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. I've also written a couple of books. The newest one is called Built Different, celebrating the Celtics championship. I'm going to this week start selling these on my website, signed copies for $30. So watch for that link on my website, johnkaralis.com. Today's show brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, every FanDuel customer gets, you bet $5, you get 3 weeks of free of NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We're talking about the Joe Mazzulla interview from last week. If you missed it, it dropped in 2 parts, Thursday and Friday. You might have seen the quotes all over the internet. Joe dropped some doozies. It was on ESPN. It led NBA Today on Friday. So lots of stuff coming out of that. So we're just going to keep on talking about it because he said a lot. And the little bit that I said after the Friday show is just not enough. So I'm bringing Tom Westerholm on to, let's just dive into Joe Mazzulla. We are noted. This is a noted pro Mazzulla podcast, has been basically from the beginning. And Tom, I think
not unlike a legendary newspaper from your neck of the woods. We're very pro Joe.
Nice.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you. That was off the cuff. I'm ready to pod.
That was
ready
very good.
Oh,
that's coming in hot. Woo. One of my biggest takeaways, just looking at comments in the YouTube pages, the Instagram videos that I've been sharing on Twitter, a lot of people coming around being like, I didn't think much of Joe at the beginning, and man, I've really come around. Part of it's the championship. Obviously, you win a championship, people are going to be like, oh, okay, I guess he's okay.
Yeah.
But people are starting to appreciate the quirkiness, and I think they're starting to understand where it's coming from, because it's not just a person saying, lunatic level things like, I hope I see the red dot on my forehead, which is hilarious and intense, but maybe people are starting to get why.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things about Mazzulla, right, is that you don't get to the levels that these guys have reached in the NBA by being normal, right? Like you don't.
That's 100% true.
Like Jayson Tatum comes across as kind of like, chill and all this stuff, but like Jayson Tatum is not normal, like physically, obviously, like, he's bigger than everybody, but like also just like the level of work the obsession that you have to put into these things, and the, like all the little stuff that has to go into every NBA players, and especially every NBA stars, just rise. It's not normal. And the same is true, if you're Joe Mazzulla, not only are you a very successful NBA coach, you're also young. Like you don't get to this point as a young guy by being normal with a normal set of circumstances, with a normal mindset. That's not how this works. And yeah, I mean, Mazzulla's, he says some wild stuff sometimes, but like but the thing is that all of that, while it's like it lines up, it all aligns and creates this very intense but guy who kind of his players kind of relate to, and like all the circumstances, all the all the basketball intelligence, all the weird motivational stuff, all the really I would say questionable understanding of the animal kingdom and how it works, but it works for his motivational speaking. Like it all comes together into this coach who's really good at what he does and who's perfect for this group and who helps them get over that hump. I mean, I think it's just, if you're Joe Mazzulla, like what are people surprised that he's not normal? Like nothing about his life has been normal. So like I'm not, if you're just joining the Joe Mazzulla train, welcome. We have a lot going on here.
Yeah. It's absolutely right, because there are a lot of people in the NBA, right? Just go from the player perspective. There are a lot of 6'9" dudes, similar builds, similar ability to jump and run and all of that stuff. Why are some 6'9" dudes not good and not NBA good? And why are some 6'9" dudes the best we've ever seen? Right? Like what makes certain guys with similar physical stats so much better at this game than others? It's mental. It's mental. It's that, I don't want to go like deep into like Mamba mentality and like that, because that became a marketing thing on top of it. But it is real to say you have, honestly, it's unhealthy on a human level. It's an unhealthy trait to have on a human level. Let's keep it Boston. Let's go to Larry Bird. And Larry spent years just ignoring Magic Johnson. They were college rivals. They were NBA rivals. Nowadays, in today's NBA, a little bit different. Everybody's sharing the same agents and handlers and blah 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 and shoe companies. It's a little bit different.
Trainers in the summer,
working all out of
together. Yeah.
I don't think Larry could even participate in this because he didn't have the time for a rival. He just didn't have it. And he notably said, he and Magic each said, I would take 500 jumpers after practice. And then I'd be like, I can't stop because Magic is taking more than me right now. If I'm taking 500, he's taking 6. So I got to take 7. And Magic is saying the same thing. Like, that is not healthy. No. That is not healthy. Most guys, like when I was getting shots up, I'm like, hey, I got my shots up. I'm done. Boom. And that's why, you only reach a certain level of basketball. That's how it is. You got to have a thing in you that makes you be like, no, I'm not stopping. In fact, I want more. And you got to be like, you got to have people look at you and go, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you got to have that.
Yeah.
In pro sports, in all levels of pro sports. Look at Bill Belichick. Look at any elite anything. You look at them and you go, is that guy okay? Look at Tom Brady. Yeah. Tom Brady started talking to the media and people were like, oh, damn, he's not right. And so
Tom Brady retired at 40 whatever and then had to come back, like possibly wrecking his marriage because he wasn't okay. Like these men are not, a lot of the time they're just not okay. But like, man, he had good at this thing.
Everything. He's married to a supermodel. Millions upon millions of like he had everything that he wanted, and he was just like, you know what? I'm risking it all for more football.
And I think, just to like bring this back to Mazzulla for a sec, I one of the things that I like so much about him is that he seems to have kind of just wrestled all of that like odd, right? The kind of odd stuff and put it into basketball. Because when that man won a championship, what was the thing he did? What was the thing that everybody noted he did? He held hands with his wife and walked around the garden floor. It's like he just all of that. Like, I mean, is Tom Brady okay? Like, I don't know, but like that, that seems to seep out. Like Mazzulla seems to, I don't know, it's outside looking in, but he seems to have just kind of crumpled it all up and been like, this is basketball, and I'm gonna be an insane person in basketball, and like, That's awesome.
But this is why, and I'll carry this into the next segment. And this is why I started the whole conversation talking about his wife, because I watched a video with him talking about most coaches end up divorced.
Yeah.
And he's like, he doesn't want that. He's a maniac, no doubt. But he is also, and this is why I said this to him directly. You are very aware. And he's like, yes, you have to be aware of everything and take it all in, acknowledge it, submit to it, and then you can work through that stuff. That's why he walked around the court with his wife. He shares these moments, and at the end of every season, they recommit to one another. They do things together. She's always there. Family is very important to him. He does not want one thing to take away from the other, even though one thing requires an incredible level of intensity. That bit of humanity, that acknowledgement, that I am aware that the possibility of this job taking my family and ripping it apart, I'm aware of that. I'm submitting to that possibility. And now I am also, while doing all of this, I'm going to work towards making sure that doesn't happen. That is why he is such a good basketball coach.
I have two words before you carry it into break. Therapy Celtics. Continue.
Let's continue that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Our good friends over at FanDuel are America's #1 sports book, and they have a little something different for you now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 on anything and get 3 weeks free of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. And then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel it at any time. So go check it out. I think the Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV with the multi-view sounds awesome. So you should try that out. You can watch all of your football on a Sunday after watching the Patriots, who, by the way, 7.5-point underdogs on FanDuel heading into the game against Cincinnati, and they pull out that game. That was exciting for people around here. But if you want to watch other games, maybe you're not a Patriots fan and you're around here, you want to watch some other out-of-market games, this is a great way to give it a shot. So go to FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. I host on Wednesdays with Jake Madison, rotating hosts all week long, but it's a great way to keep up with the whole league. And you got me one of those 5 days a week. So fun show, I think. And check it out. Make it your second listen wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. All right, let's get Tom back in here. Therapy Celtics. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think Joe's grasp on humanity, that whole thing with his marriage, all of that stuff, that's where his crazy, to borrow Drew Holiday's word, works. That's why it works, because he understands. I think people are starting to get it. He understands what this team needs from a human level. And this is why he said that now viral phrase. I hope it's 10 times harder. I hope the target's not on our back. I hope it's on our forehead. I hope I see the red dot. That whole thing, it sounds insane, but he knows that he needs his team to be just as focused as they were last year. He knows that lack of focus is his biggest enemy going into this year. Complacency, feeling like you know the answers to the test, that type of stuff. Adversity, pressure, difficulty, that type of stuff that he talked about. That's why he says he hopes that we all see the red dot. He wants to see the red dot. He means he wants everybody on his team to be like, oh man, this is so much harder. We can't be like, oh, we're the champs. We're going to come in here. We're just going to do it again by doing the same exact thing. Like, nope, it's not going to be the same exact thing. And he needs it to not be the exact same thing. He needs that pressure. Everything that goes wrong, he is going to sit there and be like, good, this is something else that we're going to have to go through. I don't think he's like happy about any injuries or anything like that, but I will bet money, dollars to donuts, that he is thinking like, hey, it's a good thing that Porzingis is out to start this season. It's adversity. Right away, we have to figure out how to win, and other guys going to have to step up, and immediately it's not ideal. And that's where it comes from. And I think, yeah, he says it in crazy ways, but understanding the human element that he's dealing with is why he gets so intense and why he channels it that way.
Well, and it's interesting too, because, I mean, the stage of the summer that we're at, right, or the stage of the offseason that we're at right now, it's like he has to be kind of shifting and moving into that mindset too, and I think that's why when you're talking to him and he's like, he made such a big point of saying, hey, like, teams have lost like 7 in a row after they win a championship, 5 in a row, teams, however long it's been since a team got out of the second round. Like, these are the types of things that he has to be thinking about right now. And I mean, like, look, it's the Celtics know as well as anybody after the summer they've had. I mean, I know he didn't, say much about the Olympic stuff, but after the summer the Celtics have had, they know better than anybody that this stuff doesn't, it doesn't translate to the next year. It's like, yeah, you're the defending champions, which, another phrase that he doesn't love, but like, you're the defending champions, but like nobody cares. Like, if any, they want to beat you more, but like realistically, they're trying to win their own thing. They're not trying to beat you like, oh, let's knock off the defending champs. They're trying to beat you. So like, you have to, like, you're one of 30 again, and hey, you were the best last year, and that's great. But like, you have to do it all over again. You remember how hard it was last year? It's going to be just as hard this year, and you don't have as much rest this year. So like, you have, all the same issues and a few extra, just as a nice little gift to you.
And this is why another thing that I loved is I don't want to call it defending a title because it's passive.
He did not like that.
And it's, to us, it's just part of the lexicon.
Yeah, it's just the way you say it. Yeah.
Just the way we say it. The Celtics are the defending champs. But Joe, this is one of my favorite kind of elements of covering Joe Mazzulla, because it is a challenge. And I know a lot of beat writers will sit there and be like, can you just say these 4 phrases that we need for our stories? It's late. Which, look, I want people to understand that. Especially when Jayson Tatum talks, Jayson just takes his time. He's got to go through his recovery. He goes through a whole thing. He comes out late, and we're often there till 11 o'clock. And guys are on deadline. They just want to go home. So the more that Joe throws out these like, no, I reject the premise of your question, or I reject the conventional wisdom here. I don't believe the way you asked this question. I don't believe that's the question to ask. There is a pushback from beat writers to be like, oh, we just want to write our stories. But I love the challenge. I love having somebody go like, no, don't do it that way anymore. I think it makes me better, because now I have to think of something new. And it's kind of like the same way he challenges his team. To say, no, I don't like the word defending. Like, well, okay, what are you talking about, Joe? What do you mean? It's just a word. You know what we mean. He's like, no, defending is passive, and we don't want to sit there and have to defend all. We want to attack. We're attacking a championship. That's I think like that little twist is like, it's one of those little buttons that you push with these guys. You'll be like, okay, yeah, no, we're attacking a championship this year.
I loved that. I'm right there with you. That was actually my favorite part of the 2 episodes. Like when he was talking about how he's a contrarian and he had to learn how to be a contrarian in a positive way. I was like, that's so interesting. And that's kind of what I'm getting at when I say that, like, he's not like, he's not normal, but it's like, but like he's doing, but like trying to do that in a positive way and channel that in a positive way. And it's like, that's part of what I think makes him kind of special as a coach, right? It's like when you challenging that conventional wisdom, but not doing it in a way that's like, no, you're wrong. No, this is bad. No, like, it's like, no, like, okay, yeah, defending is it. Yeah, it's passive. You have to go get it. Those little challenges, those little tweaks. I mean, it definitely would make it. I love it as somebody who is not at the Garden until 2:00 in the morning anymore. Like, I don't, like it's great for me, the viewer. But like, I think it speaks to trying to bring a different understanding of basketball. It's like, if you want to kind of look at basketball in a different way, Joe Mazzulla can help you do that by challenge everything. Like, why is any of this accepted? Why is the language accepted? Why are these concepts accepted? Like, think about it, challenge it, and hey, maybe there are some things that do work. Like, hey, 3-pointers are good. Like, Joe Mazzulla isn't challenging that conventional wisdom. That's just, he's like, yes, correct. The math says that. That's correct. But but think about it. At least consider why 3-pointers are good. Consider, how you go about getting those 3-pointers. Like, these are all things that you can like stop and think about. And I think that's a lot of what he's trying to do, is just like, hey, like, stop and think about it before you just kind of accept things. That's a great exactly mentality, man. Like, what a fantastic way to go about your job, to go about your life.
Go about your life.
Yeah.
And this is why
I've been so he makes you so philosophical. It's just like, okay, Socrates.
Exactly. No kidding. But like, this is exactly why I've been so on board with Mazzulla from the beginning. Because, by getting to this level, he knows his X's and O's.
Correct.
No one at this level, I keep saying this, anybody, coaches who get hired and fired, no one who's gotten fired gets fired because they don't know X's and O's.
Right.
You get fired in the NBA because you don't know how to handle people. That's you don't know how to manage the implementation of this stuff. You don't know how to handle situations when things go wrong. It's a human thing. And just the first month of hearing Joe Mazzulla talk, I'm like, this guy is different, and in a good way. And I've taken a lot of crap over the past 2 years for being so pro Mazzulla. And I think finally it's starting to come out. Like, is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. And there's some times where I'm like, I wouldn't have done this way. But the way you put it was perfect. He's a critical thinker. He's just a critical thinker. And he'll be the first person to be like, no, I was wrong about that. But he also needs to be proven wrong about it.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, if he's proven wrong, if something comes along and it's like, oh, wait, no, I got new math. I got new numbers. We're not doing this anymore because I was proven something else is proven to be better. So I'm readjusting. I'm going with this. He's not afraid to be proven wrong. He's not afraid to be wrong. You just got to prove it.
Yeah, he's going to be. It's intentionality, right? It's like, I'm doing this on purpose. I want everything I do to be on purpose. And if you could prove
that's right,
that what I did on purpose was wrong, yeah, throw it out the window. That's cool. But like, but I'm going to be I'm either going to be like, I'm doing this with meaning behind it.
This is why the animal kingdom stuff is so perfect. I think it's so perfect. And I'll explain that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I've benefited from therapy. We just talked about the therapy Celtics. We're talking about Joe Mazzulla's mentality. That's something that you get to by talking through things. And talking through things can get you to some really healthy places and to the right place that you need to be. It's hard to find somebody to talk to. It's hard to find somebody with an office near work or near home and all of that stuff. BetterHelp kind of eliminates some of those problems because it's all done online. It's something that's geared towards making your life a little bit more convenient, more flexible, suited to your schedule. You go to betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You fill out a questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. If it doesn't work with that therapist, you switch. Don't worry about it. You just switch to another person. You say, nope, this isn't for me. Once you click with somebody, then you'll start seeing the benefits, because just being able to talk through stuff is really great. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You get 10% off your first month, so it's worth a shot at BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Just talked about the Patriots beating the Cincinnati Bengals. Locked On Patriots has that coverage if you are a Patriots fan, or if you're a fan of other NFL teams. We got a Locked On for every NFL team, just like we have one for every NBA team. So football season is here. Go check out the Locked On NFL side of things and keep up with your favorite football team as well. We got baseball, we got hockey, we got everything. So your Locked On should be just all your favorite teams in a row, starting with Locked On Celtics. Let's get back to Tom here. And the reason why, now I admit I'm a big Animal Kingdom guy myself. I really honestly think that the Animal Kingdom has a lot to teach people because it takes away a lot of the emotion. And you get back to like base instincts. And I think we get ourselves into trouble when emotion gets in the way. When we strip away emotion, we can make rational decisions on a lot of things. That's why people are great at giving advice, but horrible at taking their own advice because your own emotions get in the way. Joe turns to the Animal Kingdom and he's like, look at what killer whales do. Look at, like lions in a pride, like somebody, or zebras or whatever, like falling on a line. That's the one that gets killed. Like that type of stuff. It's like, it sounds like lunacy on the surface, but if you take away the stuff that makes us human and you just put it into bottom line, if you work together this way, you accomplish a goal. If you take away the emotions, like your ego, the things that maybe have upset you, like, oh, I'm not getting enough minutes, or, oh, I got a sponsorship thing that fell through. Like, oh, I'm so sad. Like, if you take away all of that stuff for 48 minutes of a basketball game, you can actually get to where you need to be and then worry about that other stuff somewhere else. But while we're here, we got our jerseys on or our practice gear on or whatever. While we're here, the emotions go away and we get to our base instincts. And if we follow that, we're going to be a pretty damn good basketball team. Like that to me makes perfect sense.
It does. I did chuckle when he was talking about killer whales having humility.
Humility.
I was like, I think they have instincts. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe killer whales have humility. Maybe that's the reason they hunt in pods. It's about to be more like, it's just kind of the way they do things. But sure, yeah.
Just one killer whale looking at the other and be like, come on, man. Let's me and you just do this together.
Like one killer whale waving off, the other's like, yo, I got this seal. I don't need a screen. Get out of here. Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that for sure, though. I mean, I think like, those unconventional, I mean, it's kind of, you mentioned the Mamba mentality earlier, and I thought it's so funny to hear somebody kind of like synthesize the Mamba mentality, even like to the meme level, right? Like, because the Mamba mentality thing, like you said, it turned into kind of the marketing scheme where it's like, you're welcome and like all this stuff. But then like, but there was something behind it that people liked and that people kind of like were like, oh yeah, I kind of like this, even if it was kind of goofy and kind of over the top. And Mazzulla has sort of taken that goofy over the top thing and been like, okay, let's boil this down. What is it that people like and relate to about the quote unquote Mamba mentality? Let's figure out what that is. Let's run it through the therapy run it through the therapy machine, make it human and make it kind of intentional. And like, yeah, then what you do is you look at killer whales and be like, how do they hunt? And how can I relate that to a spread pick and roll? Like, and it's like, yeah, that kind of works for people. That works for your players. That works, when you humanize it and make it intentional and kind of pick out the intensity, but the unconventional and all this other stuff and boil it down, you kind of get like a pretty good way of coaching, which is fascinating to watch in real time.
Joe has a thing in his head. It's like a bell. And you never know what's going to ring that bell, right? He'd just be flipping around, going like he could walk into a room and his son is watching Discovery Channel. And all of a sudden he just sees the killer whales hunting a seal and the bell goes off. He's like, and then glaze over, eyes focused. Oh, like it's almost like you can see. Remember the the Seinfeld episode
I do
where Desperado. I don't know if you're not a big Seinfeld fan.
not a Seinfeld. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the Seinfeld episode where the guy, whenever he hears Desperado, he just like goes into a different place. And like that's Joe. Whenever something that if there's a lesson somewhere, and there's a beauty of it is it could be anywhere. Discovery Channel, Broadway, anywhere, Red Sox game. It just, if he sees something and that Desperado starts playing in the background and he just like, his eyes glaze over and his head starts to tilt and you can see it like a child. If you ever see a child soaking in knowledge, he's like, oh, that's Joe's like superpower.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where he is, what it probably drives his wife crazy because she's just going to watch a show and he's like with a pen and paper, like, okay, they're breathing in. Oh, wait, 1, 2, 3. Oh, another breath. Okay, 1, 2. Like that type of, she's like, can you just turn it off for a second? And he's like, no, I cannot turn it off. That's
I could be wrong, but I feel like if you marry Joe Mazzulla, you kind of know what you're getting into. You know, I mean,
yeah, no, that's true.
You know,
but even so, and I say this like somewhat tongue in cheek, and like when I say drives his wife crazy, she's probably just like, oh, God, this again, here we go. You know, but in a loving way.
Yeah.
Even if you know it's coming, like I sat there and I talked to him for 40 minutes and I know some things are coming, but he said some things and you could see my face. I was like, you did what now? Here. Like when he was saying, I hope it's 10 times harder.
Right here?
Yeah.
Right. That's
yeah. If you watch that clip, you can see in the middle of it, I start to like gently shake my head like, I can't believe this. Like you can see me go, you're crazy, Joe. But when you sit there and you listen to it back, you're like, I get where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from. And again, this is, I don't know if this works in college basketball. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I think it works in the NBA. First of all, it's nothing these guys have heard anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a lot of guys like this in the league. And
time out. This definitely works in college basketball. Dan Hurley he and Joe Mazzulla are like this, like very similar humans, I think, in a lot of ways. I think it definitely would work in college basketball.
Maybe it works better in college basketball because those kids are like buying into everything rah, rah, rah. But regardless, it works in the NBA because not only is it new, but it really is, it's connecting on a human level. Again, the X's and O's are all there. Everybody knows the X's and O's. Maybe he'll steal an illegal screen somehow from the Patriots. I'm so curious to see how that goes. But it's getting the guys to work together and work for each other and understand that there's a certain way that if you do it this way, you got a real good chance. And you know, we've been praising Joe Mazzulla for 30 minutes now. It's the players who have to like buy it and execute it. Like he, to be fair, is very careful to say this. And he said it in the podcast. You got to have the right group of guys. You have to have a great group of guys. And you don't win on this level with just a good coach or just a good GM, you know? So credit to those guys for like doing the same thing we're doing, kind of laughing and shaking our head. Like, Jesus, Joe, what? All right. But also taking the time, hope to do what we just done and be like, yeah, you know, if you do the Mazzulla critical thinking, you see what he's saying. Like, okay, yep, I get it. Let's do it this way.
Yeah.
And my final word is that maybe the biggest takeaway from the whole thing should be that he just really cares. He cares deeply about what he's saying. He's not just saying like he didn't say anything in those 40 minutes just to say it. Yeah. No canned crap. No, none of that. He cares about what he's doing. He's doing it because he cares about his players. He cares. He wants to win as much as anybody has ever wanted to win. And it's not about him, it's about everybody. He just cares so much that he can't stop being intense.
Yeah, and like I know we're long, but the thing that I loved about that, right, is that he's the things that he cares about. He's very intentional about caring. He cares about basketball. He cares about his family. He cares
Yeah.
about fighting a little bit, but it's like he's kind of like chosen the things that he's going to care
Yeah.
about. I mean, it reminds me of True Detective. Like one of my favorite lines from that. It's like you can only get good at one thing, so be careful what you get good at. And it's like,
Yeah.
It's like he has chosen the things that he is going to care about and get good at, and it's his work and it's his family, and it's like, man, yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's good stuff.
Like, we're gonna be like this all year. We're gonna be insufferable. Oh my gosh.
No, it's listen. I'm glad people came around. I'm glad people
Yeah.
came, like I personally feel a little vindicated. It's like you're seeing what I've been seeing. Like I just think he's a good guy who really cares. He really just cares. Maybe too much sometimes, but he cares.
But it's the thing he's
Yeah,
chosen. It's the thing he's chosen to care about.
exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. This has been a little bit of gushing, but like I think it's worth it because the guy won a championship,
Yep.
was part of a championship, and he was a big reason why they won a championship. And there's a big reason why they're going to continue to be in it. So weird how things happened and how he got this. But man, capitalizing on the opportunity that was presented him, and like he could be, I don't know. Things could go very well for him here. Tom, things went very well for this podcast. Thank you so much for
Appreciate
hopping
you, man.
on. Thank you, Tom Westerholm. And whoops, there we go. This is still September for me. I'm hitting buttons, random buttons. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what I'm talking about. If you're listening, maybe you hear mouse clicks and you're like, John, stop talking just to the YouTube people. I'm talking to everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate every single one of you who's been here. If you're new to the show, if you just popped on because of the Joe interview, thank you so much for joining. This is going to be a 5-day-a-week podcast starting again next week. So podcast Wednesday. Wednesday will be a mailbag, johnkaralis.com/mailbag. Friday will be whatever Friday is. And then after that, we're getting 5 days a week because training camp is around the corner. Basketball is almost back. We're less than a month away from the first preseason game. That's like 3 weeks away. So, subscribe, get the show dropped directly to your device. Watch the show on YouTube, and I would love it if you share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.